Can you see presentation?
Yes, sir.
Right, okay. Now today, we are going to start with another public-private partnership project lecture. Today we are talking about project cycle and the arbitration for PPP. I think these both the names are familiar to you. Project cycle, anything you can see, project cycle, and also arbitration. But here, what are we going to do is, related to public-private partnership, we are going to explain what is this project cycle and what are the perceptions of this project cycle, and also arbitration for public-private partnership projects. If there's any problem, dispute resolution, arbitration part of it. We are studying only the arbitration part, that litigation, court cases, and like that, it's there. You can get some idea about those things also. Now, first, we'll start from project cycle. Now, the project cycle is having mainly 4 phases. We can divide into up to 12 phases. But mainly, if you are talking about these things, we can say 4 phases. So that inception to say the completion of the project, these 4 phases are compulsory, and we will have to follow those 4 phases. Now we'll see first phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and phase 4. Phase 1 is the one that starting the project: identification, screening, verification, preparation, all these things are there. Project planning, right? That type of things is there. Phase 2 comes to the feasibility analysis, right? Whether we are going for this project or not, or whether there is a, say, for example, in the government, there is a, we need infrastructure project to help our citizens. So we will have to see the feasibility of that. Whether we are going to use PPP or else we are going to have traditional procurement, the paper-based procurement. So like that, if we decide it's okay, we'll go for a PPP, then you will have to think about the what are the risks. It's very important. Risk allocation also very important. You are going to allocate the risk to the government or the private partner who involved in the PPP. Third phase is PPP bidding, procurement, selection, and award. So bidding process, you know, normally you will have to do the bidding process. You will have already I think studied about PPP bidding process. Then the procurement, how to do the procurement, and how to tackle with those things, and the selection, after that award. Phase 4, then implementation part of it. Construction, post-award problems, PPP performance, and how to monitor that, how to audit that. That part is coming under phase 4. I just want to ask you one question from Vijitha. He's not there. Vijitha?
Sam, yes, sir.
Yeah. Have you done that Swiss challenge? Other lecturers' lectures you have done? No?
I didn't join, sir. I am in Tasmania.
Right.
This is the
No,
first time I am joining, but I know something about that Swiss challenge.
No, that is correct. There was a lecture. I just want to find out whether you have finished that. I couldn't ask these people also. Anyway, it's okay. Never mind. It's not important thing. Right. I mean that it's not important to us here for our lecture. Right. Now we'll come to the other part of it, phase one. Little bit of details I have given you all. Evaluate public demand. That is the identification. So whether there is a demand for public, if there is no demand from the public, no point spending money. So you'll have to carefully study whether the public is accepting this project or they have a demand. There are some places, now say for example, you can take, there are some examples in Sri Lanka. Now say Hambantota conference hall. No one is using now at the moment. So there is no public demand for it. Like that, if the public demand is not there, no point implementing those type of things, because unnecessary, our money, the country's money goes for it. Whether it's a loan or a PPP or whatever it is, the Sri Lankan money. Initial feasibility, again, an alignment with government goals. Whether this project is aligned with the government goals. Now, you know that near future, the new government is going to have a policy, this thing, project, government policies. So there we can see whether, what are the government goals, right? So then these PPPs, what are we going to do is, should be tally with the government goals, aligned with the government goals. Projects with the clear public benefits, the most promising projects, which can involve the private sector effectively, then of course you can proceed further. Otherwise, no point start in this even phase one. Okay, phase two. PPP feasibility analysis and proposed risk allocation structure. That is very important. Feasibility analysis. Conduct a detailed technical, financial, legal, and environmental feasibility study to assess project, whether project is viable or not. There in these analysis, you'll have to do in 4 parts. One is technical analysis, other one is financial analysis, other one is legal analysis, and the environmental analysis. All these things you will have to check, you'll have to study and assess whether this project is viable or not. Risk assessment, very important in PPP. Most of the PPP in all over the world are failures because of risk assessment were not in proper way they have done it. Risks are very carefully handled. Otherwise, half the way you will have to stop the project, or otherwise you won't be able to start at all. Risk assessment, and not only risk assessment, after that, you will have to put these risks to the most reasonable party, whether that risk should take by the private sector or by the public sector, that means government, or we are going to insure that risk. Sometimes public and private sector both cannot take over this risk. In that case, we are going to insure with the insurance company. I mean, this is PPP is all over the world. Even America, they do a lot of PPPs. Singapore, everything, transport. Now you can see when you go to Singapore, you can see transport and then the children gardens, everything under PPP. Car parking, janitorial services, everything PPP. So that is, it's a very improved area, this public-private partnership projects. Right. Then we can go to the next one and see. Phase 3, PP structuring, bidding and procurement, that you can understand straight away. Develop financial models. There are some financial models in PPP. In this lecture, we are going to touch that area, financial models. Draft contract terms. It's very important. The PPP agreement or the PPP contract, what are the terms you are going to include into that contract? Otherwise, if one or two areas missing, then it's a problem in future activities. And outline risk sharing responsibility, I told you all. To whom the risk goes, but who is the responsible person? Make sure all legal and regulatory aspects are covered. You can start, but there is no regulation in the country. There is no guideline in the country. Then there can be a lot of problems, a lot of legal problems. Actually, at the moment, we have a PPP regulation, not the regulation guidelines. We don't have regulations, so we don't have acts. We have only guidelines. There are also 19, when? It was about 1960, no, 1998 or somewhere there. I can't remember. I will show you. It's there in the lecture. It's about 1990s, 98 or somewhere around there.
98, sir.
98. Yeah, that's right. So after that, it revised in 2007. After that, they revised up to 2007. After that, I think after that, yeah, we didn't have any guidelines. But 2015, you know very well that the National Procurement Commission started. I was a commissioner there. So we have done a guidelines. They are chapter 12 or 13. We have put PPP, some guideline areas. Then after that, in 2000, in the same area, same time, maybe 2017 or somewhere there was the government established another entity. It's called NNPPA, right? So that is NAPPP. That is National Agency for Private Public-Private Partnership Projects. So they, after established that agency, they have done some work on PPP. And that draft, they send it to us, to the Procurement Commission, because Procurement Commission, they will have to take some okay, because that is the authority, National Procurement Commission. So when we were going to, actually, I was going through that. I did some review also, and I did some revisions also there. But half of the way we couldn't continue because next government came and they have abolished the National Procurement Commission. So later again, after that, in about 2-3 years back, they have established this National Procurement Commission. Next, that is the third term. First and second term, I was there. Third term, they have started with the, not this government, the previous government. In 2000, yeah. And they established a National Procurement Commission. Now 2024, last Monday, they have gazetted the guidelines. Mostly same as our guidelines. They told me that it's also a little bit of changes are there. In 25th, they have gazetted this thing, and one student yesterday asked me whether he can get it. Yes, I told him yes. You go to the National Procurement Commission, that guidelines is there. I have in my phone. They have sent it to me also, the gazette. There they have guideline, they have put the PPP, but not more details. But they says that the details PPP guideline will issue very soon, right? That is the situation
Sir,
of our
sir, excuse me, sir.
act. Sorry.
Sir, excuse me. Is there a manual, sir? That otherwise, same old manual we have to use along with the guideline. Only find out that
Actually,
gazetted their guidelines.
yeah. Actually,
There
for
was only the
PPP,
guidelines, sir.
yeah, that's what I'm trying to tell you. Upon PPP, they have in that earlier one also only guidelines, no manuals, because no need to have a manual. It's a one subject, so you can include everything into the manual guidelines. In 2007 and 1998, one also same infrastructure. It's called. Wait a minute, I don't know whether I have given you in somewhere there in lectures. Yes, not in this lecture. I have showed to you all that guideline, but no manual. The NAPP also they have sent the guideline, but we couldn't finish our review. I think the new National Procurement Commission will go through that and they will send a manual. Then there's no problem. Not the manual, guidelines. If they can issue a comprehensive guideline, no need manuals. Manual, if it is a very large document only, you should have a manual. And also, they can do any changes. I mean, there are this what you call supplementaries there. In I think Swiss Challenge supplementaries number 35 or somewhere there. Like that, they can issue manuals whenever they want. Right. But at the moment, we don't have a legal and regulatory aspects. We have not covered still. But we are doing, because 2007, that infrastructure, volume 2, government guidelines, volume 2, infrastructure projects, they name like that, and it is there. You can do some projects under that, but it's not complete and it's not comprehensive guidelines. But when you go through these lectures, if you are interested, I think you can cover so many things in this lecture series. I think about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like maybe 4 or 5 this thing. Other than that Swiss Challenge one, all these things done by me. I think you have participated, and last 16th and 23rd, this is the 30th last one. After that, you have a lot of details, and I have given so many details in that, how to refer and everything. Okay. Then phase 3 PPP project procurement. You know, procurement, sometimes some people, actually speaking, there is no standard method for some of these things. Some countries, some project, they first do the pre-qualification and shortlist. After that, they will send the request for proposal to those people. Otherwise, if they see that they don't get much people into the tender or a bid, they can straight away send the request for proposal. Then you can review the proposal, negotiate terms with the preferred bidder. So successful bidder, and after that sign the contract to enable the qualified private partner. The bidder, preferred bidder is a private partner. After that, after sign the contract, he will be a private partner to ready and execute the project. He can get ready and execute the project. Sometimes he will be an international party, mostly. And also implementation and construction. Supervise construction quality, monitor cost, manage risk, ensure work meets specifications and stays on budget. It's very important. Most of the time, over budget. And they will halfway, they will have to stop it. All right. So those things you'll have to be very careful. And the political interference is the number one. Main things will happen. very good projects we couldn't finish because of our country's political problem. Now say light trail, light train, the word, that one started, the Japanese people came, they gave a big amount for that. And interest rate is 1.5%, 0.5% to 1.5%. And the grace period is 40 years. After 40 years, we'll have to pay, right? Such a nice project, because of the political reasons, the next government, they abandoned that project, stop that project. And also you take, sorry. And also you think about Port City project. That last 2015 government is stopped. Because of that, 1.5 years, no work, Chinese went off, they put a court, they went to the courts, and we had to pay as a penalty $175 million. And also after that, they have started it. See, our political people, what a damage they have done to this country. Right. PP project procurement. We were talking about that. Then you select the private partner, implement, and start the construction. Now we'll go to the phase 4, post-award and PPP performance monitoring. Operation and maintenance, monitor the private partners' service delivery, ensure maintenance standards, and monitor revenue collection. Although the private partner may be doing all these things. Now, I explained you all last lectures. I don't want to go through deeply. Service delivery, you will have to, the government will have to check the main contract and monitor revenue collection. That is also you will have to monitor. Sometimes now say for example, Katunayaka Colombo highway, the toll, earlier they have taken 300, 250, then again 300. I don't know, with the knowledge or without the knowledge of the government, they have increased to 400. So you will have to monitor all these revenue collection, revenue rates, all these things. Because users can't do it. I mean, I'm a driver. I can't do it. If they ask 400 rupees, I'll have to pay 400 rupees and go. Expecting quality maintenance services and upkeep throughout the contract period. Yes. Then project transfer or termination. Sometimes if the present private sector person is not good enough to continue, so bankrupt or something like that, in that case, you should be able to transfer the this project to some other private partner. All these things you should have, you will have to put in the contract, right? And the termination time, you'll have to see whether the termination is happening in a correct way according to the contract. And also the transfer. Transfer can be a transfer to government. Now, BOT project. Build, operate, and transfer. The transfer has to be a very smooth transfer. Keeping all the work, the public service delivery uninterrupted. Without any problem, the transfer will have to do. That part you'll have to see in this phase 5. Okay. Now, we'll go to another section, balanced scorecard for PPP. That's called BSC. Balanced scorecard for PPP. The balanced scorecard is a performance management tool. It's a tool to evaluate PPP projects for multiple perspectives to ensure alignment with long-term goals, whether we will have to meet all our goals. So in the life cycle of the project, you will have to see whether it's in line or not. There are multiple perspectives to follow in this tool. It's explained in this tool. It goes beyond financial outcomes by incorporating non-financial metrics, enabling a comprehensive assessment of the project success. Mostly we are talking about the financial outcomes. No, non-financial metrics also you will have to consider in this balance scorecard method. There are so many perspectives. We'll see what are those perspectives, details. One, financial perspectives. Focuses on financial sustainability to ensure value for money. For both parties, yeah? Not only the private sector, public as well as private sector. Customer, stakeholder perspectives. Customer is the using people, not only the other stakeholders. Now, say, for example, the World Bank or some other bank has given a loan to the private sector with our recommendation, with the government recommendation. So they will have to think about, then the World Bank will become another stakeholder. So we will have to look after their interest also, not only the customer interest. All these things you'll have to cover in this scorecard method. It will cover from the tool. It's a software tool, right? Examines the satisfaction of end users and key stakeholders. Internal process perspectives. Internal process, evaluate the efficiency and effectiveness of operational process. Now, for example, I will tell you a very small example. Colombo Kattanayaka, this highway, earlier, all the gates, exit gates, there were some boards mentioning 250 rupees or 300 rupees, the toll rate. Now, you go there, I don't know whether you have gone there, you can see not a single board is working. Board is there, it's empty. So that is the operational process, efficiency and the maintenance operational process to meet the needs of the end user, the people. I mean, if I'm a driver, I have some needs. I'll have to find out what is the price. Then only I can get ready with the, what you call this, change money or whatever it is. The public and government stakeholders. Yeah, public mainly. And they should put in the same board, but it was not there. It's a bad planning. They will have to put only cash is accepted. Cards you can't accept, credit cards. There is another gate for the electronic gate. It's a different issue. I'm talking about the normal exits. They are not mentioned card cannot be accepted and only cash can accept. So those things are the planning problems in these PPPs. Therefore, you will, if you are, now you all are the people, one fine day you will have to take over this, right? You will become a lecturer, you will become a project manager, you will become a PPP expert. A lot of job facilities in outside the country. Every day ADB is calling for this type of expertise. So the future is very nice and you will have to be an expert on that subject. Okay. Now, of course, you may be working for some company or some government institute that you just want to study how these things are happening. No, not only that. This you select some area, you become a number one in Sri Lanka in that area. That should be your target. Not the number two. It should be number one. Actually, I know I achieved that position. Therefore, I know I was a commissioner of the National Procurement Commission. Then after that, I have prepared so many guidelines on that. So after that, the president has called me for his government. There was no procurement expert to help the government. So the president, because ultimately all these petitions and all these things are going to the president's secretary. So there is no person to handle that. So then they have taken me as a governance advisor to the president, paying fairly good salary and other benefits. We did a lot of things. COVID time, COVID injections. And the COVID time, the dollar went up to 375, 380. Bidders says that they can't supply anything. Mysore dal, rice, anything they can't supply. By that time, we didn't have enough meal, enough food. Prison, hospitals, army, all three forces, and the police. So we had to. I had to sort out that there on procurement angle. You will have to follow the time government guidelines also. Following that guidelines, you will have to have a new system. So I have changed everything. Even there is no cabinet appointed tender board. I have demolished that at that time for this COVID injection and the COVID time meals. So like that, you also can become an expert in Sri Lanka one fine day. Then you can do a lot of things to your citizen, your people, this country citizen. You can do a lot of things, right? Okay. Internal process perspectives, okay, learning and growth perspectives. Now when the private partner comes to start the this thing, what you call this PPP, I mean, it is called PPP. Yesterday I was doing PP, sustainable procurement, sustainable public procurement. So only yesterday evening I did that. So it's a small this thing. Now I'm doing PPP. Sometimes I might sometimes it might mix up, but excuse for the mixing up this thing, but it's okay. Learning and growth perspectives, learning innovative technologies. Yes, private partners are having a very good technologies, new technologies in the PPP. That is one of the most important thing. New technologies are there. Innovative technologies. Sometimes it's limited only to that private partner. Other private people, they don't have. So something like that. So our people, when our Sri Lankan citizens, when we involved with that projects as a project director or a procurement specialist or whatever it is, they can learn all these things. It's a massive thing, right? So the capacity building also, in the same time, you can train your people. And also capacity building for the procurement officers also. Sometimes procurement officers are not aware about capacity building. PPP. That is okay. Because very recently we have started that. Not recently, some time back. But only few people are aware about this PPP. So capacity building is number one. Knowledge transfer, that is a capacity building, training within the PPP framework. For example, private sector contributions to public sector, skill enhancement. All private sector knowledge, they will contribute to the public sector for skill enhancement, transition perspectives, smooth transition, that it's coming under phase 3 also. Smooth transition of the asset, ensuring continued public service delivery without disruption. Actually, it should come here, not that phase 4. Somewhere here I have done it. So somewhere there. Yes, transition. This is actually the transfer to other people. Anyway, transition perspectives. Then this comes to challenges, another section, challenges for PPPs. The scorecard is over, right? Now we are coming to the challenges for public-private partnership projects. What are the challenges? I mean, there are so many challenges actually. I am doing this lecture for diploma students, high-end diploma students, in some of these and the university students also. I took about 6 hours to explain these challenges and the advantages and disadvantages of PPP. It took me about 6 hours, 7 hours lectures, because it's a vast area. Challenges also same, but most of the challenges and risk we are going to discuss as far as possible within these 2 hours time. And that is why I have given more presentations also. If I miss something, then you can go through that carefully. If you are interested on that subject, you can go carefully. These things are, I will upload today evening. They will record it and they will upload into the LMS. Okay. Complexity in structuring and implementation. Yes. Sometimes preparing the agreement is a very complex issue, because you'll have to cover everything in the agreement. If it is not there in the agreement, if you miss something in the agreement, if some problem comes, you won't be able to tackle it. Often requiring significant time and financial investment in planning, and also legal work and risk assessment. All these things very complex in these PPPs. Therefore, you'll have to tackle it very carefully. Otherwise, it's a challenge. Actually, preparation of that itself is a challenge. Balancing the interests. Now, there are 2 parties involved. Actually, not 2 parties, 3, 4 parties, the banks and the stakeholders, like that. There are so many people involved, but mainly public sector and private sector, government and private sector party. So you will have to balance their interest, both parties. That is also fairly difficult task. It's very challenging. Lengthy procurement process. Now, PPP procurement process, it will take about, I think last time I have given you some table. The BOO project, how many years it will take? BOT project, how many years it will take? Sometimes it will take 6 to 1 year to select. Sometimes it's more than that. Thanks to God, now I think these hurdles will be overcome with this new government. I hope so, because they have mentioned their work is more efficient. In that case, you don't want to waste time. You can do it quickly. But normally PPP projects often require significant time for approval, negotiation, procurement, leading to deals. I will tell you one very good, I don't know whether I told last lecture. I will tell you here also quickly. The garbage, when we had that garbage problem, that that time, Pupurla gila ministu merla that time. One party came, the American party came, free of charge to do that, to finish that garbage, this thing. Some of the ministers in charge that time, they asked about $150 million. So then straight away they went off, right? So that is the situation. Otherwise, they won't give the approval. Or just keep the approval paper under the table and they will wait till they get their commission. Otherwise, they don't approve. Even officers also sometimes. But I think now it's difficult to do that type of things. Negotiation, that is also that is a legal thing. Negotiation, it will take some time. Approval, mainly, I mean, that is the corruption, top class corruption. To give approval or to give a permit, you'll have to pay massive amount. The negotiations are the routine matters, but it's also take some time. And procurement, procurement also, it will take some time. That's the logical way. There's something leading to delays. Yeah. High transaction cost. The preparation and negotiation of PPP contracts demand considerable resources. Now to do that, right? To negotiate, preparation of contracts, preparation of bidding document, you need considerable resources, experts, including legal experts, PPP legal experts, not the normal legal experts, financial expert on PPP, procurement expert on PPP, and technical expertise. All expertise you need. So for that, you'll have to pay big amount. Considerable amount you'll have to pay them. Otherwise, you can't get a good job. Now, sometimes they take procurement officers and the financial officers for some companies. They don't know anything, but they'll have to handle about millions and millions worth work. At least I'm asking most of these diploma, everywhere diploma students, I'm asking this question. You yourself check how many procurement, your procurement head, your entity, your procurement head, what are the qualifications he received? Sometimes some people say paper qualifications doesn't matter, only experience. No. Paper qualification has to be there, right? You yourself think, who is your procurement expert in your organization or the ministry? What is the education qualification in procurement he has? Whether he has a diploma, high diploma, MSc, PhD in procurement, you check. According to my experience, I was handling about each and every batch about 100 students for diploma, high diploma, maybe government, mostly government institutes. When I ask them, they just laugh. When I ask them, they say, no, sir, our chief accountant is doing procurement. Most of the places, you get that answer. Or otherwise, they say, sir, our chief engineer is doing procurement. They don't have any qualification. They think they have qualifications, but they don't have. That is why the corruption, not only that delays, expenses, high expenses, because of that reason. So you are here. I mean, that's I'm happy because I'm taking some interest to have this MSc also. Actually, in the beginning, initially, I was there in the first discussion also, I was there. I want to do it, this one, and the diplomas. And university course also, university final year students IT procurement. All these courses I have started, initiated by me and somebody else also, right? Because this is very important to the country. now, one good thing this new president did, the digital infrastructure ministry, and he's having a real interest on that subject. I can see, I don't know him personally, but I can see on their talks and their papers, they have a very good this thing. It should be there because our promise, EGP, electronic government procurement, promise that the platform called promise. Now nearly about 7 years, no. When it comes to the tools, I have started, first meeting was chaired by me, that is on 2016, right? Now 2005. So that means 9 years. World record. Not a single country took more than 4 years. Now 9 years. Still they do only the shopping. Not even shopping evaluation. They just send an email, call for a shopping this thing, and they will pass that into the relevant ministry or a relevant department. That's all. It's a crime, actually. It's a crime, right? Lengthy procurement process, yes. High transaction cost, I told you all. Now, risk allocation. Now, we were talking about challenges of PPPs. Risk allocation and management, that is also very, very difficult task, because whether the risk is going to a private partner or a government or a insurance. We'll see later. We are going to start with that later. There's a section later I will explain you all. Determine and allocating risk appropriately between public and private partners. Between public and private partners is challenging. Yes. Negotiations වලදී ඕක තමයි වැඩිම කාලයක් ගත වෙන්නේ. Risk allocation. Private partner says no, that is the public partner, government responsibility. Government people say no, that is private party's responsibility, something like that. If not only Sri Lanka, other countries also. I have 1 or 2 international negotiations I was there. If it is not properly done, it may lead to disputes or project failures. Financial sustainability. Ensuring the project's revenue stream is sufficient to cover operational cost and debt repayment. Operational cost, right? That you'll have to cover by the user's fee. There are some other fees also, but I'm just telling you, generally, user's fees, the toll. If it's a highway, toll is coming. There's a user's fee. From that, you will have to cover the operational cost, capital expenditure cost, and also debt payment. If the private partner has taken some loans or credit from the bank or a World Bank or whatever it is, they will have to cover all these things, interest, everything, they will have to pay. Public and union resistance, that is also very important. Public resistance is there, we can understand. Now, Colombo Katunayaka, they have increased from 250 to 400 rupees for a one-way trip. If it goes up to, say, 2,000 rupees, no one will go. I'm not going. I don't think you will go. No one will go. Therefore, the public resistance is there, that type of area. And also union resistance. Last decade, the union, whatever the things that we are going to do, the government going to do, whether it's good or bad, most of the time bad things also they are going to do. But whether it's good or bad, union people will come with the boards and all these things, they protect that. The satyagraha, strike, work to rule, all these nonsense are there. But fortunately, I think now hereafter, I think it will reduce because all these leaders are in the government. So therefore, they will be in the parliament. They didn't have it. They won't get a time to do all these strikes and the satyagraha. So, so public and union resistance also one of the challenge in areas. PPS may face public criticism, particularly in service are perceived as too costly, or if private partners are seen as prioritizing profit over public benefits. So sometimes public might think ape deval, private part is taken over and they prioritize their profit. They don't give us our support to the users use, but they are trying to prioritize their profits. And sometimes unions assume it is privatization of essential services. ඔකනේ කියන්නේ හැමතිස්සෙම කියන්නේ you are going to privatize our essential services. මොනවද ඒකට කියන්නේ? අත්‍යවශ්‍ය සේවා අනිත් අයට පුද්ගලීකරණය කරන්නේද නැත්නම් මොනවා හරි දෙයක්. අත්‍යවශ්‍ය සේවා පිටට දෙනවා වගේ අදහසක් කෙනේවල් මේගොල්ලන්ගේ තියෙන්නේ. Right. And political, legal and regulatory framework. Now, PPs are influenced by changes in political priorities. I explain you all, right? Really influenced. One government start the port city, other government stop it half of the way. I'm not going to give you any more examples. That's enough to understand. And regulatory policies also same. Sometimes they are going to increase the tax. Our country is the most unbelievable country with unbelievable politics or political parties, right? Because you take America, Australia, and London, right? They have a tax, payee tax, for about from 30 years, 40 years, some countries, 5% to 35%, different threshold. Our country, when the government is changed, every government is trying to change the tax system. Now, very soon, there is a tax system. This present government say that they are going to change. I mean, what a joke. That is okay. They get together and have with expertise what is the tax system we will have to for another 50 years, not 25 years, my target. Because America, Australia, UK, first main countries, even in Canada also, their tax system is about more than 50 years old. They have not done a single cent change. So our people, the internationals, they don't come to our place for investment. Without investment, you can't avoid from this position, right? The bankrupt government. You can't get out from that position. If you are going to do that type of things, we are studying here. What is the damage we will have to face in changing regulatory policies like tax? PPs are influenced by changes in political priorities. That is also there, no? They will say, I mean, I can remember when they try to put up international hall for this conference hall, like Bandaranaike International Conference Hall. When they get some loans and all these things, they have put up this thing at Hambantota. Massive conference hall. No need. But that is the political priority by that time. If they have put up in, at least in color, it's not a priority for us because the Bandaranaike place, that Bandaranaike Memorial Hall, we can manage now. Okay, we'll think about the future. If somebody gives money, take some area like Battaramulla or somewhere close by. And they can have it. I mean, then the people get used to that. And also they will use it. Pay some money and they will use it. You know that just opposite Lake House, there is a conference hall. I can't remember that name. I mean, I don't want to remember that name. Jatik Pradarshana Shala or something like that. There is no space. No parking space. පාරයිනේ මිනිස්සු පාක් කරලා එන්න ඕනේ. පොලිමක් තියෙනවා හොඳ එකක් තිබුණොත් එහෙම ඇතක්ම භාගයක් විතර. Why can't these people put up that type of conference hall and the exhibition hall instead of putting unnecessarily at Hambantota? I mean, those are the political priorities. Those are challenges, actually. We couldn't stop it. Regulatory policies, I told you all, a lack of clear and supportive legal frameworks can impede PPP development and lead to contract disputes. Yes, if you don't have a sufficient legal framework, contract disputes can happen. Because when it goes to courts, they say, no, there's no law. Then big problem. In addition to above, following issues also challenges. I told you all, there are so many challenges. I can explain for about 6 hours with examples. Contract management, transparency and accountability, force majeure, not properly done agreement, and unforeseen risks. You have to get ready with all these things. Okay. Now we are coming to arbitration for PPP. Challenges for a PPP implementation is over now. Now we are coming to arbitration for PPP. I don't know what's the word used in singular for arbitration. Somebody is aware what is the singular name of arbitration? I don't think. Is somewhere aware? No. Always everybody, we used to say arbitration. Arbitration, litigation, like that, we used to say that. But I think the legal people, they are aware of this. In the context of public-private partnership, refers to the process of resolving disputes that may arise between the public and private. That it means the government and the private party sectors during the implementation of projects. Yes, dispute resolve system. One of the system is arbitration. There are so many systems, but this is the accepted system all over the world. But sometimes it goes to litigation, it goes to the court cases, it goes to the Supreme Court, like that it will go. But this is the standard thing. Arbitration is a widely used alternative dispute resolution. I told you all. Method in PPP. Arbitration is widely used alternative dispute resolution method in public-private partnerships. It allows parties to resolve disputes outside of courts in a structured, neutral, and often more of efficient manner. Yeah, it's not a inside the court case, it's outside the courts. There are advantages as well as disadvantages. We will discuss. But it allows parties to resolve disputes without going to courts. That is called arbitration. Alternative dispute arbitration. We normally say alternative dispute solution, dispute resolution. ADR is, say, in normal but dispute resolution is an alternative approach designed to resolve disputes amicably and efficiently, avoiding the complexities of traditional court litigation. You can understand those things. Given the complex nature of PPPs, sometimes arbitrators are not capable enough to handling technical and multi-jurisdictional issues as they are not expert in some areas. I have faced this situation. That is why I put this clause here. Now, especially when it comes to the information systems, information technology projects, not only Sri Lanka, even outside the Sri Lanka, these projects, IT-related projects, to find out arbitrators in with IT expertise knowledge. Expertise is very difficult to find out because most cases, even in these other Asian countries also, Nepal, Bangladesh, India, most of the places, there are arbitrators, very good arbitrators in Sri Lanka also it's available. Say for a building construction project, or hospital construction project, school construction project, car park construction project, right? You get expert arbitrators. But some areas, when it comes to, I know that this is my experience, therefore I can tell you all. In IT arbitrators, IT project arbitrators are very rare. Sometimes they give wrong decisions. Therefore, it will end up with the years and years it will take and ultimately end up with the court case. You'll have to go to the courts to final this thing because other party will not accept their thing. That is correct. They don't know. That problem also there. That's why I say, respect to all these arbitrators, I must say, given the complex nature of PPP, sometimes arbitrators are not capable enough of handling technical and multi-jurisdictional issues as they are not experts in some areas, especially technical area. So, but any arbitration that you can have only 3 people. One party from the private sector, one party from the public sector, and those 2 arbitrators will have to discuss and select one party. So altogether, normally 3 arbitrators. If I am the public sector, I will suggest arbitrator X. Then other party, you are the private party, you also should agree with him. Then only one arbitrator. The second arbitrator is selected by you, private partner, say Y. I'll have to agree with that nomination. So then Y is there. So after that, X and Y get together and select another independent guy. Both parties will have to agree with that external guy as a third party. And also, sometimes in arbitration, I don't know whether I have mentioned some, maybe some expertise, you'll have to pay a big, huge huge payments, some expertise. You can't help it. I mean, that the people's now you are learning all these things, and one fine day, maybe you are getting a PhD also. And with experience about 10, 15 years after that, you will be a real expertise. So if you go somewhere as arbitrator, you might charge. Maybe that you might say for an hour, I need about, say, $500. Sometimes for hour, $1,000. You know, so normal legal people, how much they are charging. So like that, this case, it's worth enough to pay $1,000 per hour. There are some arbitrations like that. Okay, we will go to this with regard to arbitration. Next, we'll go to the section of this arbitration, different sections, right? Insurance and like that, you get a lot of things. Now here, I'm going to discuss about characteristic of arbitration. What are the characteristics in arbitration? Voluntary process. Arbitration is typically a voluntary process agreed upon by both parties before. What are the characteristics in arbitration? It's voluntary. It's a voluntary process. Because arbitration is typically a voluntary process. I told you all, public partner, private partner get together and select these people. Not the court, Supreme Court, so judges, no involvement. Voluntary process agreed upon by both parties before any dispute arises. Parties, actually, in the contract itself, you'll have to mention those two names. Parties usually include an arbitration clause in the PPP. I told you all, PPP contracts. Okay, tamai PPP contract the last clause is the arbitration clause. You'll have to mention in the both together, get together and negotiate and put two arbitrators' name. If possible, you can put the third arbitrator's name also. But both two names has to be there. It's mandatory in the contract. You'll have to specify. Neutrality. Should be neutral, right? Any arbitrator cannot be biased to other party, some other party outside. It should be 100% neutral, unbiased activity. Arbitrators are independent and impartial. Third party is offering a fair hearing. This is particularly important in PPP projects, where the public sector, keep in mind, right? Where the public sector might have political interests that could complicate legal disputes. Sometimes, I don't think it will happen again in Sri Lanka. Can't say. But most of the time, political interest is there. This is $1 million worth of work, right? One party goes and tell the minister, sir, I will pay you 25 million. You tell that arbitrator, I know that arbitrator is known to you. Tell him to do something. So minister will call arbitrator, I'll give you 10 million. You give a decision biased to this party. It's happening. You don't say it's not happening. It's happening. So public sector also involved in the public sector might have political interest in that. For a money or otherwise political interest. The private party might say to the minister or a MP or somebody, so I will spend, say, I'll spend 100 million to something, to give some vans to hospital or vans to school, or to have There are so many political activities, no? Like that they will say. So, the decision can be biased, but it should be neutral. Binding decisions. And arbitration, what is our subject? You know that? Characteristics of arbitration. Flexibility. We'll see what is it. Parties can customize procedures and select arbitrators with relevant expertise. That is okay. The parties can customize procedures and select arbitrators. Both parties should agree with the decisions. Arbitration allows the parties to agree on the, that's what I say, rules, procedures, timing of the proceedings, which can lead to a more flexible process, such as agree on deadlines, the language of arbitration, and the country of arbitration, and the jurisdiction of the arbitration. Because sometimes it's we are handling with private partner. Private partner is from some other jurisdiction country. Law is changed. Indian law and our law is different. So therefore, you will have to discuss, negotiate everything. Agree on deadlines, the language, whether Sinhala, Tamil, or English of arbitration, and even the number of arbitrators. I told you normally 3, but if it is very complex, you can divide into sections and can put more arbitrators. That is very complex projects. Huh? This flexibility is particularly useful in cross-border PPP projects that I have explained you all. International cross-border projects. The one party is outside the country, the government is this side. So we call cross-border projects, where jurisdictions and legal systems may vary. I told you. Specialized, no, I will just tell you all. Now you are very familiar, maybe you are very familiar with the normal procurement. In a normal procurement, also in a GCC, what is the law? It's applied for the contract. Even in the normal NCB contract, you'll have to put that clause. So like that, this is a huge complex situation. So you'll have to carefully tackle all these things. Specialized expertise. Arbitrators often have technical, legal, or industry-specific knowledge. You can understand, right? Arbitrators are typically chosen for their expertise in the specific subject matter of the dispute. I told you all, if it is a information technology project, the PPP, in that case, arbitrators should know, or arbitrators should be aware of IT, information technology projects. They should have IT knowledge. For example, infrastructure or construction, the arbitrator might be an expert in construction law or public sector procurement. Infrastructure and construction PPs are very simple. There are so many other complex situations are there. Normally, if somebody asks me to come as an arbitrator for the infrastructure construction, this thing I am not going. But the amount they pay, I said no, because it's boring for me. There are so many arbitrators to tackle that. International enforceability. arbitration decisions are enforceable in most jurisdictions. So many countries, they have their legal law, they accept it. Arbitration decision, they accept as a enforceable decision. Any country, most of the countries in the world. Our arbitrators can take a decision here. If we feel both party, if we feel it's a fair decision and the reliable decision, so other country also, they will accept it. That's why we say international enforceability. Arbitration decisions are enforceable in most jurisdictions around the world under international treaties such as the New York Convention. It's a famous place for this arbitrary law. New York Convention, NYC. Making arbitration an ideal mechanism for international or cross-border disputes in PPPs. Now, you may ask me sometimes, okay, New York. Okay, the other party, private partner is from Australia. It's happening, the PPP project is happening in Sri Lanka. So our party is the government, public government. So what is the law? The jurisdiction we will have to follow with the Australian one or a Sri Lankan one. Sometimes, if you can agree with the Sri Lankan one, both parties, it's okay. Or both of the people agree with the Australian law, it's okay. But if there is any problem in that, you can use New York Convention. That is the best. I mean, no harm in that. New York Convention, it's 100% secure and 100% it's very strong. Not only that, 100% you can believe it. Therefore, you may use New York Convention. That is okay, no harm in that. I like to have that because it's very, very straightforward arbitration rules they have. If you want to go through that, if you think to you want to study further, if you want to get more knowledge on that, you go to the website and see New York Convention. What are the arbitration rules? They will explain you. It's there in the website. If a party refuses to comply with the arbitration award, the other party can seek enforcement in courts worldwide. There are two parties involved. One party refuses to comply on the arbitration award. That means our arbitration decision. Arbitration award means that, in other words, arbitration decision. If one party is not agreeable, the other party can, one party refuses to comply with it. If he refuses to comply with the decision, other party can seek enforcement in courts worldwide. NYC especially, New York Convention. Efficiency and speed. Arbitration is generally faster than litigation in courts. Courts වලට දැම්මම මොකද දන්නා අවුරුදු ගණන් ඉන්න ඕනේ. So it will take, it's a long process, but sometimes arbitration also 2-3 years it will take. One party gave me a call last week and they asked me whether I can interfere with that arbitration, that the public-private partnership dispute. I said, no, not as arbitrator. That party need my advice. I said, I don't have a time, therefore I can't. When I checked them, what are the problems that they are facing is, the arbitration went on 3 years now. Couldn't find a solution. So it's a big problem for both parties, right? Cost. Samanyan, we say the cost is less than the court cases. It all depends. I mean, if arbitration can finish by 6 months' time, the cost is very less. I mean, according to the rates, relatively cost is low. But when it goes to the courts, the cost is very high because no control. I mean, in arbitration, you can decide on the dates when there's a arbitration when you want to start finish. You can tell the arbitrators. Both parties can tell. It's there. I mentioned earlier. Go through all these things carefully. But court cases, you can't do that. No, you can't ask the judge. You'll have to resolve this problem before but 2025 August 30th. No, you can't say. You don't have any say on that. Therefore, when we are talking about cost, we'll see. While arbitration can be more expensive sometimes, yes, because very expensive expertise are there. You'll have to pay a lot of money. Then negotiation or mediation. It is often seen as more cost-effective compared to litigation. While arbitration can be more expensive than negotiation or mediation, those are some sort of dispute resolution procedures. It is often seen as more cost-effective compared to litigation. If you go to the litigation to courts, maybe more expensive. Okay. Actually, not only these things, that there are so many things you can, challenges are there. Characteristics, movements are there. Arbitration an attractive option for resolving disputes in PPPs, where specialized knowledge, neutrality, and enforceability are often essential. So you'll have to be very careful about specialized knowledge, neutrality, and enforceability. Okay, we'll go to the next section. All these sections are there in your synopsis. On your, maybe that they have given you all these things. Advantages and disadvantages of arbitration. Now we'll see what are the advantages as well as what are the disadvantages. Advantages: faster resolution. Read, you can understand. Cost effective. Yes, although upfront cost potentially expensive, arbitration can be less costly than prolonged litigation. Upfront cost that you are paying the expertise may be, it all depends, depends on the complexity and the nature of the project. I can't say this much, it's all depend. But if it is a litigation, it's a prolonged process. So every day you will have to pay lawyers, expert lawyers in that subject. Now, I think some legal officers for a fairly large cases in Sri Lanka, they charge about one sitting 1 million rupees. One sitting. That is not the top class lawyers, but they don't have procurement expertise. But they have their, subordinates with some procurement knowledge. Some places, some law houses, some of my students also working. Like that, they will charge massive amount. If it goes to about, say, 30 days, court's hearing, you will have with 30 million. So most of the people in Sri Lanka, They used to come for prices for B. There are some procurement problems in this team. They think something and they want to confirm it with me whether they can go to the courts. Sometimes I say no use, don't go. And some cases I said yes, you have these points, you can go. I charge, it's a different issue. For you also, I will say, you charge. I mean, they are also earning money. We also, with our knowledge, will have to earn money. Right. Cost effective, upfront cost, you'll have to pay fairly big amount. But prolonged litigation is worse than prolonged litigation in the courts. Expertise. Arbitrators, now sometimes you will be thinking that Athena, he says that the cost is very high in arbitration. This place, it says cost is low. Yes, when that is it's all depend on the other word that you are using. Relatively. Relative to something. You can say like that. Expertise. Arbitrators with sector-specific knowledge ensure informed decisions. That we are talking about the expertise. Flexibility. The arbitration is more flexible than court proceedings. That is correct. Because you can take so many decisions. Very flexible. I have given earlier. Under characteristics, I have given that. Parties can select arbitrators, control over the procedural aspects, including the choice of the rules to be followed, the location, and even the language of arbitration. You can't go to the courts and say, "Me usabi neme anitu sara usabi karandikla." You can't say no. But here, those are very flexible. Okay. Advantages are there. Then what are the disadvantages? High cost. Again, I told you all. Complex cases can make arbitration expensive. Complex cases. That is depend on the project. Project to project, it can be less or more. Therefore, you can't say straight away. There's no stand in this thing. Standard rates. Limited appeal. That is there. Sometimes arbitration appeals, very rarely they listen to appeals. Otherwise, they will say, this is our decision, that's all. One decision. The chances to appeal is very low. In that case, I told you all, some person is not agreeable with that, they will have to go to the courts. Other party can go to the courts. That's all. Sometimes arbitration, they don't accept appeals. Limited appeal. Errors in decision are difficult to challenge. There may be some errors in the decision, but it's difficult to challenge because appeal, they don't accept appeals. Sometimes, but generally no. Lack of transparency. Confidentiality can reduce public accountability in PPPS. That is something interesting. Now, the court cases, if you are interested, or I am interested, or somebody else, some citizen interest, they can go to the courts and they can listen the proceedings and the decision. All these they can, it's transparent. It's not confidential anything. In the courts, everything is transparent. But here, no transparency. This is a private process. Public sector is aware, private partner is aware. Sometimes other stakeholders can come. Normally, no. And only 2 or 3 arbitrators are aware. It's a closed room decision and the discussions. So it is not open to public. So therefore, transparency problem is there. Lack of transparency. That is one disadvantage. Actually, all these things are public money. So public should know. That I strongly believe that. Not only here. I also strongly believe public procurement or related some subject to public procurement. We are handling with the citizens' money. So all the citizens, any citizen should know what is happening. That's what I say. Even technical bid evaluation report, technical evaluation, I don't believe those should be confidential. I think you also, when I'm explaining you also agree with me. Why should we? If you are doing a proper way, without any bias, if you are doing a proper, correct way, why are we worried? It's not confidential. My decision is not confidential. If I'm taken a correct decision. That's the thing that we will have to change our culture. I strongly believe that. I want to change. If I have a chance, I will. That's why I have put in my procurement guideline. This is not confidential. One fine day it will happen. I mean, the young people, they will think, yes, why? Why we are going to hide these things? This is public money. So public should know what is happening. Mama gathering mage assistant, if I am sending to buy something to my house, okay, dal kilo, then big onions 2 kilos, like that, I will give a check. I will ask my assistant to go and buy these things and bring a bill also. Next silver kade, but bring a bill also. That's it. Because I have a right to check what has happened to my money. It's a simple story. So, like that, why? Millions and maybe about 1,000 million project. Everybody should be aware. There is no confidential things in that. Okay. Inconsistent decisions. Arbitration lacks legal precedence. Consistency creating uncertainty. Because there is no legal precedence here in arbitration, listed in arbitration. Therefore, the consistency creating uncertainty. There's no legal, strong legal points. That is why it says inconsistent decision. Sometimes it's happened. Complexity. Multi-party PPP disputes can be challenging to manage. That is correct. So that means there are some 3-4 parties involved. Not only the private party, there can be a joint venture. 2, 3, 4 people, companies get together, make a joint venture, and they come. So then in that case, about the 4 joint venture members are there. Public party, the government, I'm here, one side, 4, 5. Like that, there can be multi-party PPP. So that PPP disputes can be challenging to manage. It's very difficult to manage if they have so many partners. Problem sort out karanda. Okay. Now the concerns of use of arbitration. The use of arbitration in public-private partnership raises several concerns that need to be carefully considered. You'll have to consider all these concerns. Then only you are learning how to do it properly. These concerns related to issues such as cost, transparency, time period, fairness, and the ability to effectively resolve PPP dispute, especially complex disputes. Below are some of these standards, say what are the concerns. Below are some of the primary concerns associated with the arbitration in PPPs. We'll see. There are about 10 concerns I have put it here. Maybe about another 20, 30 is there, but I am talking about the main things. Cost concerns. Arbitration may be expensive, maybe, right? Particularly for complex disputes involving multiple parties or technical issues. It can be expensive if it's a complex one and the multiple parties participation and the high technical issues. High fees for arbitrators and legal counsel can be burden, especially for public sector. That is correct. The government is like our government, it's a fairly big problem to pay them. Transparency issues. Arbitration is a private process. I told you all, it's a private, not the judicial matter. And the proceedings are generally not made public. It's a private, confidential thing. This lack of transparency can be problematic. There can be problems because of this transparency issue, especially when public entities are involved. When government is involved, I don't want to say it especially. All PPs are public entities are involved. So I will erase this, especially when public entities are involved. No. Every time, just a minute, there are any, now public, that is also public. It's also changed. Now, say Bank of Ceylon, whether it's public or a SME. If it is a SME or SOE, if it is a SOE, state-owned enterprise. So sometime back, government says it's not government-owned. But later, in 2015, Constitution, 19th Constitution say all these are government institutions. Especially for the procurement guideline, we need that. They have mentioned all are government institutions. Like that, when they want it, they change it. It's very bad, always I say. So it's okay, keep it when public entities are involved. But at that time, whether this entity, BOC, is a public or not, let them decide at that time, according to the Constitution. Limited appeal rights. Appeal rights, no appeal rights, very rare. Results of awards may lead to dissatisfaction if errors occur. Errors තිබුණත් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. Arbitration decisions are typically final and limited grounds for appeal, which can be problematic if the decision is seen as unfair or erroneous. Unfair කියලා හිතුනොත් නැත්නම් මේකේ වැරදි තියෙනවා කියලා හිතුනොත් දෙන decision එක ගැන විශ්වාසයක් නැති වෙනවා, it's a problem. Appeal කරන්නත් බෑ. Sometimes. Those are the disadvantages. Bias risk. And these are the disadvantages, but it's a concern on that. Bias risk. Potential for arbitrators to favor certain parties. Arbitrators also people, human beings. They can bias, somebody is there. They can bias to some party. So that's a concern you'll have to keep in mind. Multi-party challenges. PPs often involve multi-stakeholders, complicating arbitration process. I told you all. Multi-party challenges. Inconsistent outcomes. Arbitration does not create legal precedents, which may lead to consistent decisions in future cases. creating uncertainty for PPPs. Now, one PPP goes for the arbitration and they have given a decision. The courts, of course, they go for the legal documents and say, according to this constitution, according to this decision given by the Supreme Court, this is this. Like that, they will take some decision. So any similar cases, they take that decision. But here it's not like that. It's inconsistent. They don't I mean go in a legal law, right? Therefore, the next decision can be changed. No one can appeal. Therefore, it's a problem sometimes. Inconsistent outcomes, decisions. Enforcement difficulties. Enforcement of arbitration decisions, particularly in cross-border disputes, may be challenging, especially if the losing party refuses to comply. I told you all several times. Delays in complex cases. While faster than court litigation, arbitration in complex cases can still experience delays, disrupting project timelines. Yes. You'll have to, those are, keep in mind, those are concerns. So you will have to take some action before that. Overuse or abuse. Frequent or unnecessary use of arbitration can create inefficiencies and increase cost in resolving minor disputes. Sometimes, some parties go for the arbitration. Even in a simple thing, on negotiation, both parties can negotiation and solve it. But they used to go. Some people are there, cussedness. So if they goes like that, some government officers are there. They always want to go to fight with other party. They think that the private partner is his enemy, not the friend, right? Like that. Even suppliers also. Some party think suppliers are their enemies, not the supporters that they are try to give you a support, service. So you'll have to treat them as a friends, not for the other things, right? Duty-wise. But some people is always arrogant. They try to fight with other party. And it's also then it's a problem because it will take more time for the project. Okay. We'll see this one. Conduct of arbitration hearing. Conduct. How to conduct. Then we are talking about the same thing, different languages, different way, right? Arbitration provides a tailored, efficient, and enforceable mechanism for resolving PPP disputes, but parties must consider its cost, confidentiality, and finality before selecting it as a dispute resolution method. There is no other method also, but you must keep in your mind. Preliminary conference. You should have a preliminary discussion and agree with all these matters arising. Procedural matters, timelines, like preliminary issues. Then, opening statements. Both parties present an overview of their case. You will have to put the case in front of arbitrators. Otherwise, they can't, and the evidence documents everything, like a court case. Evidence presentation. Parties present documentary evidence, as I told you, and call witnesses to testify. You can put witnesses. Expert testimony may also be included. In writing also, you can put as a testimony. Cross-examination. Each party can cross-examine the opposing party. You can cross-examine these parties. Contradiction and closing arguments. Parties present contradiction evidence and make closing statements summarizing their case. Sometimes the parties present the contradiction evidence. One evidence he has given, but he can give another contradictory evidence. That is possible. Arbitrators question. Arbitrators may ask questions to clarify key issues during hearing. Deliberation. Arbitrators privately review evidence and arguments to decide. Post-hearing submissions. If need, parties may submit additional briefs to clarify any outstanding issues. Later, they can submit some additional briefs. Issuance of award. The arbitrators issue a binding award which includes their decisions on the dispute. Insurance of award. The decision. Issuance of decision. Issuance of award. A binding decision is delivered, resolving the dispute. Now we are talking about draft contract. I told you all it's very important. You should know, at least you should know the headings. What are these main points to be included into the PPP contract? As a minimum requirement based on international best practices, I have given some areas to be included. Technical parameters, all technical details very clearly. Concession period, how long we will have to stop this project. Concessionaire means the private party, right? So we can say in a contract, it says concession period. That's why I put concession period. Concessionaire is the private party who handle PPP project. So period, both will have to discuss and decide on that matter and put into the contract. Private partners' rights and obligations, public partners' rights and obligations. You can understand. Concession fee, not only the concession period. Concession fee paid by the private entity to the government. Concession fee paid by the private entity to the government. Because in all these PPP, government is giving the land in simple manner, right? Land and other facilities. For that, concession will have to pay to the government. Private entity, concession. Risk-benefit allocation, very important. I told you, the best person who can, I think this, with this risk, I told you last time lecture, I explained all these risks. What are the risks, the gap risk, WAG trips, and the insurance, what are the risks? It should go to the insurance company. Like that, I have given all these details. Project implementation. User fee, toll fee, for example, paid by the user to the private entity. I told you several times, highway toll. All these things, you'll have to give with details in the contract. You go through one contract, or you study one by one, what are the things it should include into the contract, you can find out. Construction, land handover, environmental clearance, those things, government will have to do it. The land, he has to hand over to the private sector to start work. And environmental clearance, government will have to take. Otherwise, the private, don't allow private planner to private partner to go and go to all these officers to get environmental protection department and blah, 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 right? Don't allow them to go there. Government will have to do that. I think the new government idea also something like that, closer to this thing. If the person wants to go to one place and everything is there. Within few hours, they will have to get all the details if the thing is okay. You know, when you go to those days, when you want to when you want to go get the housing loan from a government bank, my God, I have taken housing loan to put up my small house. But at that time, we had to do that. Use of construction, operation and maintenance, strict standards to follow. Right for substitution. Right for substitution, I mean that what I mean is now one private party is doing that. As I told you, because of the bankruptcy, whatever the reason, he's unable to go ahead with the project. Then you will have to transfer into some other private partner. But if this partner, the previous partner, is not allowed to do that, then it's a problem, dispute. Then you go to the courts and years it will take. But here in the agreement, there is a clause to say that he has to, because of this reason, if he can't do it, the public sector should have that authority to substitute that the previous partner to the new partner. Force majeure, you know force majeure, what is it? That clause has to be there. Termination clause has to be there. Monitoring and supervision, there should be a clause on that. Public partner support and guarantees. Public partner will have to give some guarantees sometimes. You do that, I will give a guarantee on that, bank guarantee or insurance guarantee or something like that. That should have done by the public partner. And also dispute resolution, which we have discussed all these times. At last, may consider hiring technical, legal, and procurement advisor to assist them in drafting a contract that adheres to international best practices is very important. When you prepare a contract, if you are not sure, tell your hierarchy, no, sorry, this part I cannot tackle. That is correct. Everybody will accept. If you don't know that, you don't know. You can go to the internet and so many other places. There you can't find out. And it should be practical with the country situation also, right? So you can ask those people when you drafted the contract. Technical, if you don't know anything, if you have any doubt with the technical expertise in that area, IT expertise or something like that, it's all depend whatever the project. Or a legal things, if you are not sure, because agreement is very important. It's all depend. It's a heart of PPP project. All depends on that. If something goes wrong, body block everything goes out. That's why I say it's a heart in the body. Procurement advisor, yes, there are a lot of procurement things are involving. If you cannot tackle, you ask your hierarchy to get some. It is happening now. Most of the people, they used to take me, they come for advices. That is correct. If they are not aware, they should this thing. I also did the same thing about 20-30 years back. We didn't have any facilities like this, internet, no, nothing. Books, no, nothing. So I had to learn myself, reading books. right? So that is very important. That's why my last note on that for you. Try to do it properly. Okay, 4 p.m. sharp. That's good. Anyway, do you want to ask any question?
Sir,
I
can
will
you
upload.
share a sample agreement?
Oh, sample agreement. Yes, sample agreement can give. But not immediately because I'll have to go through that and find out. But there are also, it's very difficult. Sample agreements means that now I have mentioned somewhere. I don't know whether here or no, SPP I mentioned. In Sri Lanka, most of the time they use you take a sample and you just arrange according to that sample. What I say is that you can India and most of the country. India is best. If you go to the, I don't know where I have kept those things. Earlier I can remember. It was in my computers, but I don't know whether this computer or previous computer. Normally I am not keeping the contracts because if somebody asks to prepare a contract, then I am preparing that. But you can get something from the website, Indian Procurement Agency, and India is the best for the South Korean PPP or Singapore PPP. There are so many contracts I also might have, but it will take some time to find out and to explain that.
Sir,
But these are the, sorry, yeah, please.
Sir, if you
Yeah.
can give a typical one, it would be sufficient. Then we can find something from the internet. So we know what is there or what is lacking or something like that.
Yeah, for that,
If we have a baseline, that's
yeah, here in these 2 slides, I have given main points. Now, if you want, as you said, you are correct. You can go to the internet and see when PPP, this thing prepared, what are the technical, how to put technical parameters. But it's depend, I mean, if it is an infrastructure project, is something else. If it is an information system project, it's something else. Entirely different. If it is a hospital project, again, it's entirely different. Everything, the concession period, of course, you can decide that I have given in one of the lecture notes, BOO. Normally, how many years it will take? BOOT, how many years it will take? Like that, I have given some idea, but it's also not standard. Private partners, right, and obligations that you can find out from the internet, or you go to the Indian procurement, this thing, Indian. I don't know whether Sri Lanka is having a Sri Lanka is having yeah, Sri Lanka also they had some PPP projects, but at the moment I don't have. I will have to check. Anyway, if I can find, not immediately, if I can, I don't know whether, are you in a group or what is your, how can I find out to send it to your group? 6 or 7 people are there, no? Is there any group?
there's no specific group, sir. If you can give it to Miss Lakmali, she will upload it to the LMS.
Right. Yeah. I think I don't know whether I have given to Lakmali some document. No, that is not the contract. It's a bid document or something. No, anyway. Yeah. I will find out and I will let her know if I find it. But don't depend on that. There are so many things may be missing. It's all depending on on your project. These are the main things that if it's this is like a checklist. You can see. Yeah, if I find something, I will share with Lakmali. What else? Okay. Right. Yeah. Okay. Do you have any question anymore?
No, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay.
Good night.
Thank you, sir.
Night.
Thank you.
Good night. Thank you. Thank you. You are welcome.